It's officially time to turn the page to NFL Week 3, where Miami will travel for their first road game of the season to Seattle to take on the 2-0 Seattle Seahawks. Interesting things to note about this game. Obviously, no Tua Tagovailoa, but the Seahawks are currently 4-point favorites. The over-under set at 41.5. Dolphins 1-1. Seahawks 2-0. And I want to make note of that line specifically because before we get into the injury report, before we get into how I think the Dolphins could upset Seattle as they are 4-point underdogs, last week when this game finalized, the Seahawks moved to 2-0, the line opened up to 6.5 in favor of Seattle, which means Vegas has brought down the line total from 6.5 to 4, a full 2.5 points in Miami's favor, which means I don't think the Dolphins are going to be favored in this game by the time Sunday rolls around, but it's certainly interesting that people in Vegas specifically believe that there is a chance that the Dolphins can win this, at least more now than it was a couple days ago. And if you want the Dolphins to pull off the upset, because I would consider this an upset with no Tua Tagovailoa. If Tua was here, I would expect them to win, but with no Tua, they are the underdogs. So hit that like button, help Miami out, don't jinx it by letting us know if you want the Dolphins to get off the upset. All right, we'll do a preliminary injury report. Just wanted on the record as we're filming this. The official one did not release, but based off some fact-checking and seeing who's at practice, who was not at practice, Terron Armstead and Calais Campbell were not seen during the media portion of today's practice in Miami. I think Calais Campbell is just a rest situation as he is a 36, 37-year-old veteran. Terron Armstead was not seen either, shoulder injury. Mike McDaniel did say he is progressing well day to day, and he's optimistic for his status on Sunday, but no guarantee right now. But those two were not seen during the media portion. These three were, though, Raheem Mostert, who missed the second week against the Bills with a chest injury. Robert Jones, who left that game with a shoulder injury, left/benched either way. He was seen at practice. And Malik Washington, who missed the first 2 games of the season for Miami, was seen with a quad injury. We'll see if he's able to go, but Malik Washington did say he's progressing nicely. Can't say anything definitively for Sunday, but is heading in the right direction. For the Seahawks, Kenneth Walker, oblique injury. He missed week 2 against the New England Patriots. We'll see if he's ready to go in week 3. George Fant, Noroso, both kind of battling a knee injury. Pharaoh Brown, former tight end. And then Jerome Baker, the former Miami Dolphin, is limited with a hamstring. We'll see if he goes on Sunday. But something to note is that one of the top linebackers for the Seahawks is at least limited in some capacity heading into this game. All right, let's get into my 5 steps on how to upset the Seattle Seahawks now. And the first one is you got to lean on your run game. I feel like this one's very obvious with no Tua. You're going to have to transform your offense. You no longer can just drop back and throw the pigskin 35 times. No, it's going to have to be much closer to 23 to 24 times a game with Skylar Thompson, and you get a more balanced attack on the ground. And through 2 weeks, I don't really think the Dolphins' rushing attack has been that good. In week 1 against the Jags, they carried the ball. If this is no Tua, no Skylar Thompson scrambles, straight up runs, whether it's with Alec Ingold, an end around, or the running backs. 24 carries for 70 yards. Not good. Not at all. Week 2, a little bit better, 31 carries for 118 yards, but still, you're going to have to be effective and efficient in the running game, and you're going to have to rely on De'Von Achane, who's been one of your, if not your best, offensive player through 2 weeks. I mean, Tyreek Hill has a decent, nice 150 yards and a touchdown, but De'Von Achane has all-purpose 250 yards plus through 2 weeks, 100 in week 1, about 160 in week 2, with 2 touchdowns in total, 14 receptions. He has been the most dynamic back in football so far through 2 weeks. I have not checked it right now, but I do believe Achane is the leading running back in terms of receiving yards for week 2, and at least through week 2. And I think he's going to have to be called upon in the passing game on checkdown screens, pop passes, and as well as running in between the tackles and on wide zone schemes, because he is right now the most important player on this Dolphins offense. At least it feels that way because he can do it through the air and he can do it through the ground. Who you got for me? Let me know. MIA for the Dolphins, SEA for the Seahawks. Get your official predictions and votes down in the comment section right now. Let me know what you guys think. All right, number 2, the defense has to disrupt Geno Smith. And it's going to be difficult because he's one of the better quarterbacks in the National Football League. And you might think, Geno Smith? No, he really is. And he was extremely good 2 years ago, a little bit of a down year last season, but is off to a blazing start in the first 2 games of the 2024 NFL season, completing 74% of his passes and having a QB rating of 97.4, which I think is very, very impressive. He was surgical against New England, which, by the way, the Patriots defense against the Bengals in week 1 absolutely shut down Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow through the air. So it was impressive to see these wide receivers and Geno Smith really start to cook that secondary, specifically Jackson Smith and Jigba, who had a really tough first game against the Denver Broncos, although they have a pretty good defense. But then you saw him go for double-digit catches and over 100 yards. DK Metcalf had over 100 yards and a score against the Patriots. Like, these 3 might be one of the best, if not the best, wide receiver trio in the entire National Football League. And I think through 2 weeks, they have been the best wide receiver trio because the Bears' passing attack hasn't been there. The Dolphins' passing attack hasn't been there, especially when you look at the third wide receivers. Waddle and Hill still top 2 or top 1. But either way, and the way that you got to stop the Seahawks passing attack is not with your secondary. That will help. But you have to get after Geno Smith. You have to make him feel uncomfortable. You have to make him get the ball out of his hands earlier than he'd like so he can't hold on to it and let those 3 wide receivers get open downfield. And maybe this is a weak point for the Seahawks. Their offensive line through 2 weeks have allowed 5 sacks, 3 against New England, 2 against Denver. So you're going to have to use some of these pass rushers on the roster to get after Geno Smith. So I'm looking at Jalen Phillips. I'm looking at Chop Robinson, Emmanuel Ogbah, maybe even a little Mo Kamara. He's been inactive for every game so far. Maybe he gets the call and nod instead of Quentin Bell, and you have Kamara potentially get after the passer. He's played at Colorado State. He's used to that Northwest atmosphere. So maybe you go that direction. Well, it remains to be seen. But either way, the pass rusher of Miami has to get after Geno Smith. And I'm not just saying the edge rushers. I'm going to need some pressure from Zach Sealer and Calais Campbell up the middle as well. All right, 3 more keys to pull off the upset for Miami, but I want to make sure you all are checking out Game Time, the best ticketing app in the market where you can get your tickets for the lowest price guaranteed. Just pick whatever seats you want to go to, and you will be able to see it. And especially with the feature of Game Time's picks, which is just awesome. It allows getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. It filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Whenever I go to an event, whether it's a concert here in Dallas, whether it's a game here in Dallas, it doesn't matter. I make sure I get my tickets with Game Time because I know that I'm going to be satisfied every time, and I know that I'm getting the lowest price guaranteed. And I love looking on the app through the all-in pricing feature because it sees the entire total of your ticket up front rather than getting surprised by fees at checkout. I hate surprises. Never throw me a surprise birthday party. But you will never be surprised with Game Time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets. Download the app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS, for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. All right, next up here, no turnovers. And I know, you can say no turnovers for every key to victory, but I am really going to put my hammer down on this one. Because if you want to go on the road, play against the 12th man, and survive without Tua Tagovailoa, well, Skylar Thompson's going to have to play a damn near perfect football game. And it's not me saying that he has to go out there, toss for 300-plus yards, and be efficient, complete 70% of his passes. I'm not saying that whatsoever, but if the opportunities for a big player there, and you have Tyreek or Jalen Waddle open down the field, you have to have the ability to hit him in stride, take advantage, and complete the big play. But you also have to not turn the football over, which is something that Skylar Thompson has struggled with in his 8 career games that he's appeared in. In his career, completing 57% of his passes, throwing 3 interceptions compared to 1 touchdown. That is not going to get it done, and I promise you this. If we on Sunday, as Dolphins fans, are watching this game, and we check the box score halfway through or 3/4 through the game and see Skylar Thompson has 1 INT or even more, it's probably not going to bode well for the Miami Dolphins because you can't give the Seahawks any short fields with how good their offense is, and you can't give away possessions with you needing every single possession to potentially get this upset. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel because we are going to be live on Sunday for the Dolphins Seahawks game, our watch party for week 3, as we are live for every game. But we're also trying to take down the Seahawks Today channel in our subscriber sub battle. Beat them on the YouTube streets equals beat them on the field. Hit that sub button. We got an early lead. Let's keep it going. All right, I think Coach Mike McDaniel has to coach a perfect game. And like I said, Skylar Thompson has to play perfect. I think Mike McDaniel has to outperform the first-year head coach Mike McDonald, who is now 2-0 as a head coach in the National Football League. Obviously, former Baltimore Ravens DC, who's led that defense. And I want to draw this example from NFL Week 2. I watched the Vikings 49ers game on Sunday since the Dolphins weren't playing. And the Vikings, at home, nonetheless, beat the 49ers, who were 4.5-point favorites in that game, similar to what Seattle is against Miami. And when I watched that game, it's very clear the 49ers are the more talented team. Sure, they got an injury to Deebo Samuel in that game, and you didn't have Christian McCaffrey. But guess what? Justin Jefferson left the game halfway through and didn't have any catches in the second half. And it was so clear to me, the only reason why the Vikings were able to beat the 49ers in week 2 is because their head coach, Kevin O'Connell, coached circles over Kyle Shanahan, which that can't be said often because Shanahan's a top 5 coach in the National Football League. But O'Connell absolutely made him look like a little kid. And if you want to win this game on the road with a subpar quarterback in terms of Skylar Thompson and Geno Smith, just like I guess you could say Sam Darnold to Brock Purdy, as Darnold was his backup last season, you are going to have a really good coach game from McDaniel. Make it known that McDonald is a first-year head coach, and you are in your 3rd year and have led a team to the postseason back-to-back seasons. I need Mike McDaniel to bring his A game in terms of play calling, play designing, and having the boys and fellas ready to go and fired up to execute on a perfect level this Sunday against Seattle. You had extra time to prepare for them since you played on Thursday Night Football in week 2. All right, we asked you to type who you think was going to win, but this time, predict the score of the Dolphins-Seahawks game. You might get hit with a YouTube ad break. If you do, scroll down and get those score predictions, and I want to see what the real ones have to say down below. All right, the final way on how you have to upset the Seattle Seahawks, you have to play complementary football. And like I've kind of mentioned with a couple of these keys, they can be set every week. But when you don't have your starting quarterback and you're dealing with a backup who hasn't had the best numbers in his career when he's on the football field, you need to do the little things correctly. So I'm talking special teams. I'm talking turning over the Seattle Seahawks potentially on the defensive side of the field. You need to give your offense short fields. If that means a nice little punt return from Braxton Berrios from Malik Washington and the Skylar Thompson takes over at the 50-yard line where he only needs to pick up 15, 20 yards to get you in the field goal range, then that's got to happen. Defense get a pick 6, a strip sack in Seattle territory. The defense is going to have to make a big play in order to give the Dolphins offense breathing room, but also give them a short field to work with. So for them to get points, they only have to go 10, 15 yards, pick up 1 first down, or only drive 35, 40 yards to get in the end zone to get 7 points on the scoreboard. But the offense has to do the same thing. They can't go 3 and out every single time and put all the pressure on the defense to get a stop. You can't turn the ball over like you did against Buffalo so often and give Seattle short field position so they can easily get points. No, you have to play complementary football. Going to go the Denzel Washington line from Remember the Titans. We have to be perfect in every aspect of the game. Not actual perfection because I don't think Seattle is that good of a football team, but you do have to perform at a high level in terms of special teams, offense, and defense to give yourself the best chance to pull off the upset with Skylar Thompson at quarterback. All right, that's going to do it for today's episode of Dolphins Today. Like I said, make sure you are subscribed. We'll be live for that game on Sunday. 3:05 Eastern Time is when we will go live. 4:05 is when we kick off. Join myself as we are going to be live having a blast for Dolphins Week 3, where hopefully Miami improves to 2-1 and gets the upset on the road.